we're done. We're just getting started. Welcome to the new era of the Podcast and Chill Network. We've leveled up the lineup to keep you locked in all week long. The Weekday Grind. Monday at 3 p.m. We kick things off with the Blueprint. MacG and Soap and Duca stay in their lane, bringing you the heat you know and love. Tuesday at 3 p.m. Get your rhythm right with Music Pulse. Join Tahi, Nota, Sfiso, and Kanye Maz as they dissect the industry like only they can. Tuesday at 8 p.m. for the Disky lovers. The legends are back. Catch Steve Lecolea and Tulasizwe Mbuyane on Onside. Back to Disky. It's pure football royalty. Wednesday at 3 p.m. We're celebrating the culture. Catch Binka Nation with Gwiza Mkunu and Pinky. Real talk, real tradition. Wednesday at 8 p.m. Ladies, this one is for you. Philimpela, Shamiso, and Londi London are here to read the room. High tea, high fashion, and higher stakes. The Weekend Warm-Up, Thursday at 3 p.m. It's the big one. Your favorite celebrities and comedians sit down with the duo that started it all, MacG and Soul. Expect the unexpected. Friday at 3 p.m., we're taking it to the streets. Join us for Kasi Jam, the heartbeat of the hood, right on your screen. Friday at 8 p.m., the vibe gets intense. Seho and BU are bringing all the smoke. No filters, no apologies. The Sunday Session, Sunday at 3 p.m. Ease into the afternoon with the Bantweezys. They've got you covered with spreading humors. The perfect Sunday chill. Sunday night, we wrap it all up with the hard truths. Get the latest in politics and news on Be Frank with Mac. Different voices, same unapologetic energy. This is the new era. This is Podcast and Chill Network. Subscribe and hit the notification bell.
What made you think that South Africa is the right place? Let me take it to Africa.
The whispers through passion. So it's been really exciting, one, for me to learn. I've never been here before, and it's just been an incredible, humbling, heartwarming experience. And two, it's cemented the reason why AIM was created, because there's so much raw talent here. There's so much hunger for talent.
Performance isn't just about stats. It's about heart, grit, and opportunity. And technology isn't just about creating code. It's about connection and opening up of industries. And then later, the world. Few people bridge the gap between human ambition and technology quite like our guest tonight. From helping shape global culture at TikTok during its meteoric rise to now leading AIM.io, an AI-powered platform transforming how football talent is discovered and developed worldwide. Leonie Blackburn isn't just about building tech. She's building opportunity, one player, one community, one country at a time. Leonie, welcome to Be Frank with Mac. You grew up going to 10 different schools, and that's like a crash course in, networking, and this is before even LinkedIn existed. Which school taught you the most about people, and which school would you never go back to?
Okay. I don't think I would actually place any of them singly in either of those questions. I'm not sure there's any I wouldn't go back to. But I think collectively, exactly what you said, it was a crash course in knowing people from a young age. I think I subconsciously realised, well, actually that group are just like the previous group at that school, or that person reminds me of that person. And from a very young age, I was open and intrigued to talking to everybody. From school to school, maybe my last school I learnt the most. I was there 4 years. So 10 schools.
Is that the one that you spent the most time at?
I did. I think I changed the most there. I was quite a naughty teenager. I say quite, that's probably too light a word. And in those 4 years, I think I found myself and I switched from being this...
rebellious.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Bolshy, know-it-all, to actually, how do I want to come across? And there was a real switch from those 4 years, from the last senior school exams that we have in the UK to sort of my A-levels and deciding what I want to do next and who I want to be. And even some teachers, I remember a teacher coming up to me when I got an award at theatre at school, and saying, "Oh, I just thought you were one of the naughty kids, but you've actually got your shit together." They probably didn't say that, but there was a real realization of how I was coming across to people and how I wanted to be.
So moving from Australia to the UK at 9, going through 10 schools, new friends, new teachers, constantly have to meeting new people. How did that change or shape the way that you approach people today? How important was that? Because, I mean, it must have been a mess then, thinking, oh, God, new people again. But now, in retrospect, you look at it and you think, oh, that's maybe why I can interact easier, or, find it easier to make friends or can blend in. How did, that sort of transition help shape who you are?
Oh, it definitely is a big part of who I am. I often get asked if I studied psychology. I'm like, no. I just went to 10 schools with thousands of different subjects to study.
Yeah.
I think I found my place through sport and theatre. So when you have a passion for something, you can always find your people. And so often, as soon as I was a new school, what sports clubs can I join? What theatre do you do? And so there I found people in all age groups throughout the school. So that was definitely something that drove my comfort zone in each school that I went to. Often people say, oh, you must have found that really hard. And maybe at the time I did, but looking back, I really believe it's made me who I am today.
But you also didn't follow the normal path, right? You went to drama school, then you started working in motorsport with your dad.
Yeah.
Working with your dad, and you must have a very, very, very special relationship then with him, right?
Yeah, I grew up just me and my dad. So my mum left when I was 2, and I didn't meet her again when I was 9. So I have a very close relationship with my dad throughout my whole life. And actually, it's slightly the other way around. I started working with my dad when I was 14. My first ever job. I put together the sponsorship proposals for his motorsport team, mainly because he was terrible at the computer or at proposals. So I'd put them all together, help him prepare the proposal, and off he'd go to get the sponsors for his rally team. And he did really well in American championships, world championships. When I was 16, I put a proposal to him that he should probably start paying me for this work, because he would have to pay someone a lot of money to do what I do. Yes. And I can't go get a job. And when I asked to do things, he had control because I had no money of my own to go and do it. So that's sort of where I started working officially with him, doing the logistics and sponsorship proposals for his motorsport team. I then went to drama school. So I think I was in a very fortunate position that instead of going to university, I always said I was going to do theatre or law. I think it's the same thing, right? Yes. And I chose theatre. And I was in a very fortunate position that I could choose something that I was passionate about whilst I decided what I wanted to do.
That on-the-job learning that you did with your dad in motorsport, right? Would you consider yourself a petrol head? Do you know anything and everything about a car? Are you that type of girlfriend where you like the car stops, you're like, oh no, it's because the pistons don't have enough oil?
Well, I worked in automotive training for like 10 years as well. So yes. Coming out of working with dad in motorsport, being around cars from a young age, I actually went for an interview for an event management role. And it was for an automotive company. And they were like, what do you know about cars? And I'll be honest, I found it a little bit patronizing because they were like, well, that's such an open question. What do you mean, what do I know about cars? So they started throwing out different car terminologies. And I was like, well, yeah. And they said to me, well, would you come on board as a product trainer instead of an event manager? And that was, again, one of my steps into a new career, a new role, something I hadn't considered that continued my development.
Did you have to endure a lot of dad jokes, though?
Oh, I still do. I'm the eldest of 4 girls, so I've had to hear them.
Over.
There's 21 years between me and my younger sister.
Yes.
So I've heard them 4 times for 21 years.
Are you okay?
Just about. I would say, though, a lot of people find him funny, so I can't go against the grain too much.
Of course. Motorsport, there's no other sort of sport that teaches you how to, tread water, right? It's constant pressure. Are there any lessons that you learned from watching your dad, watching his team, watching the way that they operate, and knowing that every second and millisecond counts in the sport, that you're now applying to life? Because that's where you were learning, right? That's where your kindergarten actually was.
Well, let's go back to kindergarten first, because when I was that young and I had matching overalls to the rest of the team, this is in Australia, I would be in the way of the mechanics and thrown in the back of the chase car and taken to the next stage so that I wasn't bothering anyone. So stay out of people's way is probably one advice. But no, as I became more part of the team and we did rallycross championships, rounds across Europe, I think it really is about two things. Having a team around you that have one goal. So even in these quick changes of decisions, you have trust. So you go for it. And then the second thing is backing yourself. Often in my career or even just life, I feel like I'm making it up as I go along. I think we all are. I think there's this sort of unshared truth about life that we are all just making it up. And when you're younger, you think you haven't got it together and everybody else has.
And then you grow up, you realize,
none of us know what we're doing. So I think it's back yourself and surround yourself with people who really do trust you and you trust them, so that when you have to make a difficult decision, everyone's all in.
You mentioned something earlier, and I just want to go back to it quickly. You said that there was your mom left when you were 2. She came back when you were 9. Did you ever fix that relationship? Did you ever get closer to her? Do you still talk to her? What happened? Because I'm a girl dad, right? And I know the relationship that I have with my girls, and how I sort of go through life with being a girl dad. What was it like, not having a mom?
I think there's lots of answers to unpack there. I don't have any bad memories from when I was younger, when my mum wasn't there. My dad never spoke badly of her. I would get sort of gifts in the post of her traveling around the world. So for me, I had everything that I needed from my dad and my auntie and family around me when I lived in Australia, that I don't have any, oh, poor me, I don't have a mum memories from young age. And then we moved to the UK, and actually I met my mum the same time as my dad met my stepmom. So then I become this horrendous child to my stepmom, who now I will advocate is probably the best parent that I could ever have wished for. But at that time, I was like, well, I don't need you. I have my real mum in my life now. My mum had a very challenging life. She had lots of challenges for herself, mental health, and caused a lot of drama and trauma for myself and other family members. So although I have some wonderful memories of her, and she would walk in a room and light up a room, it became a time when I was around 21 that I decided to stop talking to her. And at the time, it was definitely the right thing for me. Unfortunately, 4 years ago, she passed away. And just before that, I did sit down, and I think serendipity and the universe getting you ready for certain things. I sat down and wrote a list of, do I want to get back in touch with her? And the reason being is I'd lost touch with my younger brother because that was from her side, and I was missing him. It was definitely a hole in my heart that I wanted back in my life. And that was the main decision. But was I ready for the disruption and the pain and the challenges that came with having her in my life? I was unsure. And from writing that list, it was 7 days later that I got the message to say that she'd passed away. So that was really challenging. I mean, guilt, upset, frustration. The positive out of it, my brother and I have a beautiful relationship again. We spent a lot of time together leading up to the funeral. And then since then, he lives in Cambodia. So I've been over to visit him a lot, and he's come to see me. We almost got very different mums, even though it was the same person. So that's been a challenge in our relationship. But growing up without a mum till I was 9, then I had my stepmom when I stopped being a brat, and accepted the love of my stepmom, who truly has taught me unconditional love. I don't feel like I've missed out. I feel like the opportunities and the traumas, the challenges, and the incredible experiences that my parents have given me have also shaped who I am.
And that's always beautiful, right? And you grow so much more older and you understand so many things, which when you were young, you were like either rebelling against or fighting against or felt hurt. And you realize that, these guys are just trying to go through life because life is throwing a whole lot of spanners at us, right?
I truly believe that. And I think I held on, I found it really hard to forgive my mum. And I won't go through today the levels of trauma. I think that might be a whole nother episode. But as I've got older, realised she did the best that she could in her life, in her way. And so I've sort of found my peace in forgiving her for what I had to go through to get through that.
Very, very interesting upbringing. Sort of now navigating your life, you find yourself at TikTok. Mm-hmm. And when you joined, it was growing at breakneck speed. In all of that chaos, how do you find yourself? And first of all, how do you end up at TikTok? What was it like? And how were you going through that craziness as it was just booming globally?
I think chaos is my middle name, first of all. I went to drama school when I was younger, and drama's attracted to me ever since, but not even always in a negative way, just in an adventure type way. Yes. Previous to TikTok, I'd never taken a full-time role. So from leaving school, I did a year at drama school. I decided not to go and do a degree. I threw myself into work. I created a business with my dad. I fell into automotive training, started a coaching consultancy, said I would never work full-time. Actually, you mentioned LinkedIn. On my LinkedIn pages, you would hear me say, don't work full-time. Like, freedom and time is the best commodity you could have. And I was working with a coach myself. I do believe you can only take others as far as you're willing to go yourself. So I was working with a business coach, and she said to me, Leonie, you're so sure you know what's right for you that you probably have some barriers and blockers up that could be stopping you finding other opportunities. And I was like, right, okay, being the know-it-all. I think I was a little bit less know-it-all in those days, but she said, for 1 week, whenever you automatically say no to anything, go one step further in the conversation. And she used the example, knowing I wasn't that keen at going to the cinema. She said, well, if one of your sisters says, can we go to the cinema? Instead of saying no, ask, what do you want to go see? And it's not about changing your mind. It's just about checking in with your gut, with your bias. So for 1 week, anytime, it's a bit of a cheesy story, by the way.
Yes. We like cheese.
For 1 week, I caught myself out. Anytime I said no, I took a beat, checked in with myself, and then carried the conversation. It just happened that it was that week TikTok approached me on LinkedIn and asked if I would consider a full-time role. And actually, I was like, no, have you seen my content? I say, don't work full-time.
Yes.
And I deleted it because I realized I started the sentence with no. So I thought, I'll just have a conversation with these people. I didn't even know what TikTok was. It was just under 2 years old.
Yes.
And so I said I'd have a conversation. I actually said, I'm not looking for a full-time job, but I'll have a conversation with you. And they still booked my first interview. 7 rounds of interviews later.
7 rounds of interviews?
7 rounds of interviews later, I was like, oh, I think this role is for me. Wow. But then I had a predicament, because I had clients paying me to help them not take full-time work, because that's what I was all about. So suddenly I'm thinking, am I going against my own morals by changing and doing something different? And I really weighed it up throughout the negotiations of contracts. Do I really want to take a full-time job? I could just do it and try it for a bit. It was a bit of an ego thing then as well. Going through the rounds, I think it wasn't until round 4 that I decided I wanted it. Before that, I was like, I don't want this, but let's see if I can get it.
Yeah.
It was a bit like, okay, I've never applied.
Then it became a challenge, right?
I've never applied for a full-time job before. Let's see what this looks like.
Yes.
But by the time I was at offer stage, my problem was then feeling like, what do I tell my clients? And I realized you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to change your mind. Yes. You're allowed to change direction. And I honestly believe it was one of the best decisions that I ever did. I thought I'd stay 1 year.
How long did you stay?
I left a couple of months before my 4th year anniversary.
What was it like, Leonie? I mean, when TikTok came to the rest of the world, it changed everything.
Yeah.
It changed everything. But to know that you were in that engine, what was that like? And I mean, obviously, I know a lot of stuff is probably still private, but what was it like being a part of that engine for something that became a global phenomenon?
It was incredible. It was a great balance between being able to bring creativity to work every day and learn from such an eclectic mix of people. I was really grateful to be part of a global team. And when I started, I was based out of London, but working across a team in the States and all across APAC, Singapore. And I was learning like communication styles were different. I would present to one team and get all of this like feedback immediately, present to another and it'd just be silent. And I learned more about different cultures and the way to address people. So it was a constant learning curve for me. And I truly believe that's what kept me there for so long. I thought I'd do a year just to be, I was ready for something bigger than myself.
Yes.
when I took the full-time role. I was like, okay, here we go, let's go. And wow, did I get it.
The different roles that you've obviously played, leadership is constantly fast moving, especially in tech companies. Technology moves in leaps and bounds in literally weeks on end. You know what I mean? You've got version 1, and by the time the week ends, you're on version 10 because there's so many things that still need to be fixed and something like that. So working in such a fast-paced tech company, is it like coaching a football team or is it like conducting an orchestra?
Oh, wow. I actually have stolen this saying with pride from TikTok. We were building a rocket ship as we were flying it. It really is like nothing else. And the advice, I asked one of my stakeholders when I was being interviewed, what advice would you give to someone coming into TikTok? And she said that be open to not finishing things. You know, you could get 70% towards the end of something and everything's changed so quickly. So being agile and resilient and open to change was really super important.
Fast forward to that 4 years of burning through the furnace.
Yeah. Do you know what? It really was. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It really was hard work and challenging. But if you focused on what you had control over, you could really do something different there. There were not many other tech businesses that you could join and put your ideas on the table and actually something come of it. You know, we were creating processes. It was such a mess. Like when we started, like the teams that I got to work with created some incredible projects and programs and events and technology. And well, you've seen it grow and grow and grow and grow. And it really is every single person on every single team has a part of that.
That's incredible. You then decided to join up with AIM, which uses AI to discover, and develop football talent at a global stage. I mean, I don't even know if that may make sense and how that lands in anybody's ears, right? Using AI to bring football onto a global stage and making it accessible and democratizing football opportunity to people. Now, how did that come about? Because I heard drama, I heard motorsport, I heard nothing about football.
Oh yeah, I openly say I know nothing about football. I know a bit more now, a few months in. I wasn't looking to leave TikTok. And I was actually away for an event and extended because my dad was also away that weekend in Dubai. And so I extended my trip to meet up with my dad, and he invited me to a lunch. And when we got to the lunch, he's like his business partner's friend was like, oh, here's the person I've got to talk to you. And Leonie, can I pick your brain? And I was like, thanks, Dad. What have you actually brought me in for? So we've gone into separate rooms, and the founder of AIM was who I was talking to, Tony and his partner. And they had created this product and didn't know where to go to market with it. Where should we start? Where should we look at first? And I said to them, look, I'm I'm not looking to leave TikTok, but I'll help find you someone. And also, I'm not a head of marketing, but I'll help find you someone. That's sort of the guide or the guidance they were looking for at the time. But I loved it. I also said to them on that day, we spoke for 2 hours, to the point where my dad and his business partner had to come round and be like, are you guys done? Are you finished?
That's okay.
Are you finished?
I'm okay.
And we said then, I said, look, I don't know if I'll work with you here on this. I'd love to find some capacity, but at TikTok, I didn't have the capacity to do something extra at that time. And long story short, within 2 weeks, I was back over in Dubai and sitting down with Tony. We spent 3 days together, almost working out how to work together. And that's when he turned around and was like, how are you feeling now about coming on board? I said, I love it, but I'm not the head of marketing. And he flipped over this whiteboard and said, let me show you the team so far globally. And he had everything written out. And he left the space next to CEO. And he was like, I want you to feel like this is your baby. I want you to come on board and drive the ship.
Did your heart sink?
Well, it was funny because the night before, I was in my hotel. We'd already spent like a day and a half together. And I was thinking, okay, I do want to come on board, but not in the way that we'd first discussed it. So I was writing out my pitch. And I thought maybe chief of staff. That was where I sort of put myself in my head.
To work with people and groups of people and steer the ship forward.
And look at growing what the company needed, see what departments they needed, the type of people to bring on board,
Almost like a CEO.
Well, it is, I guess, right? It was just like, what is it? Tomato. I said that the same then, didn't I? What's the saying? Potato.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was just a different role. But I think it was the positioning of it. Neither of us had this conversation yet, but we both felt that place for me was there. And that was it. So then I flew back to London, handed my notice in. I actually handed my notice in at TikTok before I even signed my contract, because I knew there were some changes happening in my team and people were coming under me, which I wasn't sure if it would happen if I was leaving. And I felt like I wouldn't be acting with integrity if I just gave myself that little bit more time to think and get contracts in place and then hand my notice in, because once things happen in the system at TikTok, we wouldn't be able to reverse it. And I told my global head that. I said, this has really come out of nowhere, because 4 days beforehand, we'd spoken about this reorg. And it just didn't sit right with me to wait any longer for the integrity of my team that I was leaving behind.
You're given this position and this role that you now need to play in a sport that you know very little about, probably, and I'm guessing, surrounded by a whole lot of men that are passionate, that love the game, and you're told to lead them, right? What did you envisage, or what was sort of your crystal ball moment to say, this is the idea that Tony and them have, but this is where I want to take AIM?
Yeah. I think there's been many times in my career that I have fallen into imposter syndrome, right? That moment of going, what am I doing here? It happened when I started TikTok. I think it took a couple of months of me thinking, I've come from an industry where I know a lot about everything to a new sector that I know nothing about anything. But what that taught me when I started TikTok was to think about, well, what are my transferable skills? What are my superpowers here? And I think I did the same with AIM. And actually the team that I inherited, that Tony had already started building, I think everyone knows him, more or less everyone knows him from between 6 years and 20 years. So even adding to what you're saying, yes, I've had a full team of men who are very experienced in the football world and are very close to the founder. And now someone he's known for a couple of weeks, he's telling, by the way, go through Leonie and I trust her decisions. So there's two sides to that. There's one, let's go back to what I said before, back yourself, because I did, and build that trust. And Tony and I built that trust so quickly that I felt very valued, and that made me able to give more value as well. But it's taken time. It's taken time to adjust my communication style. I'm quite laid back. I'm very much myself all the time. But I had to bring that dominance up again, because for a little bit I wasn't being listened to from everybody.
So I'm going to ask you, what is AIM and what does it do?
Okay. So in essence, I always say in simple terms, AIM is a AI football coaching app. So it turns any phone into a coaching and development device. And the idea came from a group of friends sitting around a table, having a drink and thinking, what skills do we all have? And if we could do anything, what would we do? And they had lots of tech experience, football coaches, and they just started thinking about this idea of a product. And it's been in development for 2 years when I came on board at the end of last year. And now, it's in the stores, both Apple and Android. We've started in Dubai, and that's been a great place for innovation and connection to so many football academies, something that I didn't know. I said, let's go to the UK first of all. When I came on board, I was like, let's go to the UK. This is football. This is tech. I know the industry. I know the culture.
Yes.
Then I found out more about Dubai and the football academies there, and the access to the football academies and the openness to new tech. And it was the perfect place for us to start. But didn't have the essence of what AIM was about. AIM was about access to all. Anybody in the whole world should have access to development. And Dubai doesn't really fit the access for all. And so when the opportunity came about to partner and bring AIM to South Africa and launch both Dubai and South Africa at the same time, suddenly not only the story of what we were trying to tell, but the proof of concept has just come into fruition.
When you look at South Africa, and it's important, and I find it very endearing, the fact that you've spoken about, Dubai not necessarily being able to give access the way that you would have liked to, right? You look at the social...
I think it's more that Dubai, they have access.
Yes.
People are there because of opportunity and because they have opportunity. But launching a product that says it's giving people who don't have opportunity the opportunity somewhere where there already is opportunity just
Doesn't make sense.
quite sit. Although they deserve it as well.
Of course.
But for the essence of what we're trying to do.
So when you look at the sort of socioeconomic status of South Africa, right, us as a country, very different to the soccer culture out in the United Kingdom, very different to how it would have been received in the UK. What made you think that South Africa is the right place? Let me take it to Africa.
I think it was a few different things. We had some partners through other businesses that told us, you've got to come to us. Bear in mind, we actually had that from many, many countries. It's amazing. Something I've experienced coming into the football industry is the whispers through passion. That's been exciting to learn and be part of. I've had people in Miami talk about us. We're not in the States yet. Someone called me and say they were at a party somewhere else and they heard us being mentioned. So we had choices. And I think there was a few things. One, having trusted partners, let's go back to that word of trust again, that were willing to support us coming over. And two, the opportunity to really, really democratize the football structure in a place that is still very much, as I'm learning, structured in many ways. So it's been really exciting, one, for me to learn. I've never been here before. And it's just been an incredible, humbling, heartwarming experience. And two, it's cemented for me the reason why AIM was created, because there's so much raw talent here. There's so much hunger for talent. And the players that I've got to meet whilst being here are just incredibly respectful, talented, passionate, and they deserve it as much as anyone else.
Speaking about deserving, as a player, a young player in South Africa, you've been to the townships. You've seen the state of some of the places that these kids come from. How do how does AIM help me in Soweto, in, Rivoli, in, KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, anywhere around South Africa?
Yeah.
What would it mean for me to have that app on my phone, and how could it change my life?
I think it goes back to not everybody has access to elite coaching. And I've met some incredible coaches here, and they are doing incredible things for their communities. But when I speak to them, they've got 1,000, 3,000 players that come through their clubs. So are they able to give support to every single one, or equal support to every single one? Of course not.
No.
So by using the AIM app, players are able to measure themselves where they're at, and then get individual support, individual plans on how to improve, and then can keep measuring that as well. And going into the townships and places like Westbury and some of the places that you mentioned, it just inspires me even more to see what can we do next.
Do you feel like you've leveled the playing field? I mean, you've had an absolutely amazing time in South Africa. You went to go watch Pirates versus Sundowns, right?
I have to say, I can't say I don't like football, because I do now, but I've never been passionate about it, even though I played when I was a teenager. I watched my dad play. It was on the TV every single day at home. Even if it wasn't on, it felt like it was on every day.
Yes.
It's never been a passion of mine, but it's definitely a growing passion of mine through building this tech business. I will say I've been to many live games, from grassroots through to Premier League in the UK. Going to that game, the atmosphere, the way that the fans are mixed everywhere, the music that's playing,
The vibe.
it was a vibe.
Yes.
And it was incredible. And that was in our first week or so of being here. And that gave me the essence of South Africa for sure.
You're like, this is why I'm here.
That's why.
Hashtag I'm staying. She's the other white person that's staying, guys.
I was supposed to leave this week. I'm not. So
now, you want to level the playing field, and why I want to come to this is because in this country, you look at Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, Super Sport, and Sundowns, right? Those are the big four teams. And let's say, for example, any one of them at the most can take 100 players. That's 400 opportunities that can be created by these four big teams, where you can actually create a career for yourself. You're coming and saying, no, the world is your oyster. Mm-hmm. Do the levels, go through whatever it is that you need to go through, and somewhere, somehow, someone might see you, because that's the most important thing, especially for youth, right? It's to be seen. Do you think AIM will be able to do that?
It is about finding unseen talent, and we're not making any promises that suddenly there's going to be more football roles available, right? Because as you said, there's still only so many teams. But what we're doing is breaking the barriers of where those teams look for players. I'll give an example, the showcase that we did here, and we had 9 clubs participate in the club showcase, and then we took through from those 200 players 65 to the individual showcase, and we've then chosen 24 players to become our AIM South African squad. And we had clubs come up to us afterwards and say, some of the players you've chosen aren't in our first team. You're making us look at our players differently. So even on grassroots level, they said, we would have we're really surprised you haven't taken so-and-so.
Yes.
So straight away, and we backed it by data. They did our drills. We used our AI technology as well as our coaches. And I think it's important to say our technology and our app isn't about replacing standard coaching. I think humanness is the most important thing in everything we do in life, but it's about enhancing and giving extra opportunity to see more.
What would be interesting for me, right, is to say, you were having this sort of physical playing of the game and the matches, and having these different tournaments amongst the players, right? But at the same time, you were also testing out the AI. Mm-hmm. Was it correlating? Were the guys doing well with the drills, also identified by the coaches by watching them play, because that's almost where the two worlds are supposed to meet.
I can give a couple of examples. One that sticks out for me is our coach Zeka was like, Leonie, Harry, you've got to come watch this kid. He's my player of the weekend. And he hadn't noticed him the day before. And so I came across to watch this player in his next game, and he took a free kick at almost the halfway line. I think that's the right terminology. And and he scored. And he's this tiny little thing, strong, fast. And it was incredible. Everyone's jaws dropped. When I checked the data, so he won player of the weekend. But the reason we were able to back that was he was the highest scores across all the drills. So yeah, the coloration, and it's new, right? We're still testing things. We're still learning. We're still changing.
Oh, you're still flying a rocket.
Building it.
Building a rocket.
I'm not sure if the engine is in it yet, but when we start seeing the dream that we have with the tech that we're creating, with the reality in our first ever event, oh gosh, I can tell you that the feeling is just full of pride, hope, ambition, motivation. Just want to do more.
There's a lot of misconceptions about AI, right? People speak about it taking too much water because servers need to be cooled and all of that. And there's almost like this fear of technology that, especially in a country where it's still so new to it, how do we sort of allay those fears and make people comfortable and let parents know and kids know, and from the township right up until the suburbs, that it's okay, guys. Yeah. This is the new way that we're doing life, almost like how we had to change lives during the COVID period.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, that it's fear. And normally fear of something can come from misunderstanding. So I always say education first, and we're hoping to build more of that as well. I keep saying that simple terms, AIM is a AI football coaching app, but that's just the beginning. We want to build into that education, support, growth. Even with the squad over here, we're doing, media training and confidence training, speaking. How can their skills on the field also translate to off the field? And I think that goes with anything. If AI is scary, and I think you often hear people say, AI is going to take over my job. AI will change some jobs, but it won't take over someone who knows how to use it, right? And I believe, and these are the views of Leonie's and not that of AIM, but I believe that in time, we will actually see a rise in community-based projects, in creative projects, in people wanting to experience things away from technology. And our app does do that a bit as well, because, we're not asking kids to go and play a game against each other for an hour. We're asking them to go out into the garden, record their skill, find out how to do it better, and then do the exercises to get better. So I think it's all relevance on understanding and usability. And the more somebody is intrigued by something, the more they can learn. And then hopefully it's not as scary.
I'm going to ask you a quick fun round of questions.
Okay.
That you have to answer very quickly.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
If AIM were a football player, who would it be? A striker, midfielder, or goalie?
Right, Mac, let's just rewind a little bit. Do you remember that point where I said, I don't really know anything about football? So what would it be? What type of player? I don't think AIM could be one player. AIM is the coach.
Love it. Which footballer do you think would hate having AI analyze their every move?
Oh, I'm not going to call out names. One, because I haven't got enough knowledge to know confidently to say I've heard them speak about AI. But I will say I think it is going to wobble a lot of footballers, because they're going to think it's taking away from them being judged on their own intuition and their own skill. But actually it's not. It's about working at finding out the details, those marginal gains that can help support them. So I think there'll be many footballers who are like, nah, that's not for me. But the ones that do lean into it, I think will be the ones that find those marginal gains.
If you could give one player a superpower, teleporting to the goal, perfect stamina, perfect mental focus, what would be that superpower that you'd give? Even looking at your boys, your 22 boys.
Oh, for my 24 boys who actually took extras on, I'd want to give them healing powers, because they all go in so much, and some of them have got injured, and not even necessarily with us at our training, but other games. So yeah, if I was going to give them any superpowers, it would be instant healing, so they don't get hurt.
Oh, right.
Also that they can play straight away again.
Right. What's the funniest misunderstanding someone has had about AI in football or AIM as an app?
Ooh. I don't know if it's funny, but one that we have come up over and over again is they assume that we have technology in the ball, and that's how we're getting the data back. Especially as we've got loads of AIM branded balls. Yes. People were asking if they could have one of those.
Because the technology's in there.
Because they thought the technology was in there. And I think that's, again, where we're different. There's so many brands out there, amazing brands doing incredible data collection through wearables. And that is obviously as an additional cost. We don't need those with our technology. It's from any phone. You can film it anywhere. And we're able to collect that data and support measuring their current state in those skills, whether it's dribbling, speed to complete, ball control. And then they can actually ask the AI coach within the app. So there's sort of 2 AI programs within our app. They can ask, well, how do I improve? And it will give them a personalized plan on improving their skills.
I've been to some of those meetings, but I want to know, coffee, tea, or energy drink, what fuels AIM leadership meetings?
Well, as we're a global team, as you can imagine, we've got Paul Cox, one of our coaches. He is tea through and through. You can ask anyone on the team how he likes his tea. I'm a coffee girly.
Yeah. Tech leaders, CEOs, everyone thinks they're about spreadsheets and meetings and this and that. What's the weirdest skill or secret talent that you'd say you'd need, that people don't know, that would surprise a lot of your sort of team members and even your players?
Well, one, somehow I've managed to get through my whole career without really ever understanding spreadsheets. I wouldn't say understanding, using. Delegation is a great skill to have as a CEO.
I can't do that, you do it.
Yeah. No,
You're good at it.
Could you help me with this, please? Do you know what? It's one of those things, like there's many things that I've taught myself to do that take me a lot of time and drain a lot of my energy. So spreadsheets, numbers, things like that have never been my driver. Yes, I can do them. I'm joking about not having ever done them. But I think a superpower is managing your energy. And one thing that I learned from working for myself to going into a team to running a team was having to shift needing to do everything. And there's a bit more of a flip to that as well. I thought some of my things that I was really good at as a team member was actually diminishing my team as a leader, because I'm an ideas fountain, right? And actually that's a topic within a book called Multipliers by Liz Wiseman. And she talks about leadership in 2 ways. You either have diminishing behaviors or multiplying behaviors. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Like I said, one of my diminishing behaviors was I was an ideas fountain. I would give my team all the ideas. But what I didn't realize that was doing was halting their creativity. So I almost had to, when we were on COVID times, mute my computer, sit on my hands so that I stopped talking and let people speak first, and just creating that space. So I think superpower, find out your energy, but also work out how you multiply the skills of the people around you.
What gives you hope for football talent and human potential globally?
Hope for football talent and human potential. The passion behind football globally drives so much connection, and I think that helps communities. So when I talk about the AI football app that we have created being just the beginning, my hope is that as we build this brand, we will create more opportunities, more connection, and connect more communities.
It was your first time in South Africa.
Yeah.
A lot of us in this country are doomsayers, so to speak, when we speak about our country. And sometimes you forget to see the beauty that you're surrounded by and get reminded by people from outside about what you actually have. What would you say, having interacted with the kids, having gone to the township, having seen the coaches, having gone to the matches, having eaten the food, would you say we need to do as a country to constantly remind ourselves of what we actually have?
Wow. I mean, I've only been here a month, so I'm not sure.
What happens in a month?
I'm not sure I have the right to
The world is going through shit creek right now.
I'm not sure I have the right to tell the country what they should do differently, but I can definitely share what I feel that I want to do differently, because, you know, I'm very grateful for the experiences that I have. And also I haven't always had so much, what's the word I'm looking for? Opportunity around me. I've definitely gone through the ups and the downs. You know, I said I lived with my dad, grew up with him. We had a lovely house in Australia, moved to the UK, money changed from dollars to pounds. We ended up moving into the warehouse with our belongings because we didn't have enough money to get a home yet. So we built rooms out of the boxes so that we had rooms within this warehouse. And my dad grew and grew and grew and did very well. So I've seen the challenge of many different things. I'm not comparing myself to someone in the townships here, but I believe giving each other hope, finding hope for yourself, and really learning about mindset. So with a country with such a diverse range of people, communities, so close together, one of the parents said to me, they've never seen a group of kids so diverse in backgrounds, ethnicities, everything, as we have in our 24 squad together, like equally. That for me, as I'm learning here, it is different and it's disruptive, but it's so positive. So be open to people around you, learn from each other, and trust yourself, because nothing matters unless you make it matter. So what are you choosing to matter? Nothing in the whole world. Anything that is bothering you only matters because you choose it to matter. So if something matters, what are you doing about it? And then the last thing I would say is nobody has to do anything. Like I've removed that I have to from my vocabulary. I changed it to I choose to. And I can get you to challenge me on absolutely anything. People say, I have to pay my bills. Well, no, you don't. You choose to, because there may be consequences if you don't. Or I have to do this. No, you choose to. And I genuinely think in any situation, from low to high, if you remind yourself, empower yourself that you always have a choice. And there's normally multiple. Choice means choose. So are you choosing the right thing for you, for your community, for your country?
Leonie, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I think AIM has made the right choice.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I can't wait to see what we do next.
Leonie Blackburn, from racing tracks to TikTok chaos to coaching the world's future football stars. And this is proof that performance, opportunity, and ambition thrive when technology meets heart. And next week, we follow this up with Harry Redknapp, who recently was in the country to become a part of this magic. And you hear it from himself. Is the technology meeting the talent? Stay tuned to Be Frank with Mac. Thanks.
Emhlabeni kaJehova subscribe nina futhi nibabi if ubheke le channel for 10 minutes longer and subscribe umubi dog. That's why bakuchithela ngoba awuna commitment, unama commitment issues. Subscribe lapho ngeke sizwe